everybody? It's Thursday, it's Halloween, and it's time for another weekly haul video. My name is Scott. This is my wonderful little page here, Comic Book Hangover, my little corner of YouTube, my little niche in the YouTube comic book, let's talk about comic books market video thingies that people do. This is my little contribution to it. So we're really not going to do any like really spooky Halloween stuff, because honestly, I don't have any like resources to do that sort of stuff. So I've got my comic books for this week. I got my hot cocoa. This is my Halloween prop. So got my hot cocoa, and we're going to talk about my comics that I picked up this week. So I'm not doing them in alphabetical order anymore. I'm just I'm kind of trying to a couple of different ways of doing this. So this I'm going to do it this week. I'm going to start off with the reprint that I picked up, starting with Incredible Hulk #1 Facsimile Edition. Now again, the Facsimile Editions, these are exact page-to-page reprints of classic Marvel stuff. So I've got Amazing Fantasy, I've got Howard the Duck, I've got Guardians of the Galaxy, Giant Size X-Men. These are really good, especially if you're looking to get these books, and you know you're never going to be able to afford them. This is the way to go, and this is what I do. So I've got Incredible Hulk #1 now, back when he was gray. Also from Marvel, we have True Believers. This month's theme is X-Men, so we've got X-Men number 96. This is the first appearance of Moira McTaggart. The character I know a little bit about. Mostly what I know from her, I learned from the X-Men animated series back in the early 90s, I think like 92. But this is her first appearance. I also got the reprint for X-Men Unlimited number 27. Now the difference between these True Believers, for those that may be new to this, the difference between the True Believers and the Facsimile Editions are, like I said, these are page-for-page reproductions of these issues, fully reprinted. So like Giant Size X-Men was 96 pages. They reprinted the entire 96-page issue in its entirety. I'm just kind of saying the same thing twice, but page-for-page reprint. The True Believers, these are a dollar reprint. And each one is, like for this one here, this is going to be the full issue, but not a page-for-page issue. So it's going to have the modern-day advertisements and that sort of stuff in there. And a lot of times they'll also change the covers. So you're not going to have all these the original cover, the original logo, the corner box, anything like that. You're more likely not going to have that. The main picture, though, will be the same. In the case of this one here, the X-Men Unlimited books, those were double-sized issues. And this does not reprint the entire thing. This just reprints the story that pertains to the first appearance of Karima Shampandar and Omega Sentinel. So they're only going to reprint what's pertinent to whatever the theme is for that month for the Marvel True Believers line. So that's the main difference between the two. Recently, DC also got into the dollar reprints. This week, their dollar comics, now they call theirs dollar comics as opposed to Marvel's True Believers, but Superman number 75, this is of course a legendary issue where Superman died after fighting Doomsday for a couple of issues. I ran through all the Superman books. I do have the original of this. Actually, I've got the first, second, and fourth print. I think I'm missing the third print for it. I've got this one here with this cover. They also did a polybagged one. They came with an armband, a page from the Daily Planet where it had his obituary, all that gimmicky stuff. I have all that, but I don't have the reprint for it. But the reason why they did this week is because they also put out the second of the Tales from the Dark Multiverse books, and this one here is Death of Superman. So with this here, everybody knows the story. He dies. His body disappears, then we go through the reign of the Superman, and then Superman comes back and saves everybody, and everything goes back to normal. This one here, this is basically what if Lois Lane, at the point where Superman dies and she's holding him in her arms, and he dies, then all the other heroes show up, and she says, where were you? He needed you, and you weren't there. She gets angry, and through a series of events, she winds up with powers equivalent to Superman, and she takes it to the extreme to where she believes that Superman, Clark Kent, Kal-El, didn't go far enough in using his powers to help the world. So there are some deaths in this. There's two major deaths in Gotham City. That's all I'm going to say about it. But this This is the second one. I think there's 2 or 3 more coming out, but this one here, even though it's just the second one, this was the most epic one they've done. Last week's Nightfall one, or last month's Nightfall one, that one was okay. That was actually really well done. But this one was very epic. This one this is one that people should be reading, because this is a really good one. And even the the writing style kept in line with the Superman 75, the Death of Superman issue. The art style kept in line with it as well. So they didn't really try to update it too much. But really well done, amazing book. That so far is my favorite one. I'm looking forward to the next couple ones coming out. Also this week, I'm not much for variant covers. I think they do too many of them. They really need to cut back. I mean, when you have just random issues that have 2 or 3 variant covers, or you have like a first issue that has 15 variant covers, that's a bit much. Actually, no, that's not a bit much. That is way too much. The most that we should have is maybe 2, maybe 3 covers, including the original. But once in a while, Marvel will put out a variant cover that I just cannot resist, and this is one of them. This month's variant theme is Mary Jane, because for some reason she has her own series. Makes no sense to me at all, but whatever, Marvel's doing what Marvel's doing. But if it wasn't for that pointless ongoing series, we wouldn't have this. This is Venom number 19, the Mary Jane variant. And when I saw the picture of this, man, I fell in love with this cover. This is a great cover. This is just so epic. It looks like now she's a model, so this is basically the Venom symbiote is an outfit that she's wearing. You can kind of see her head. She's like lifting the mouth up as a hood. And this is a sweet cover. I absolutely fell in love with this cover, and I had to contact my LCS and say, hey, I need this covers, and they were kind enough to pull it for me, so I was able to get it. I read it. Actually, it's a really interesting issue. I really couldn't get into the whole Absolute Carnage thing, but this issue here with what's his name, Dylan, trying to combine with the symbiote, and apparently there's more to Dylan than meets the eye, so to speak. So it's actually really interesting. I could see myself actually from this point on sort of jumping into Venom. I know Donny Cates is doing an amazing job. As far as there's things about Donny Cates I don't really care for, but I mean, he is an amazing writer. I do appreciate what he's done with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm going to be really sad to see him go. I may not continue with it, because they're going to be ending it with issue 12 and then starting it over with issue 1 again. I hate that. I hate starting over with my comics. I want to have long runs of my books. But this Venom, I'm actually kind of considering getting into the Venom Island, or whatever they're calling it, storyline that he's got coming up, because it seems rather interesting. It seems really cool. Sorry, I was thirsty. Also, so those were those books. We have a book starting off this week. First issue. I was very curious about it. This is the Joe Hill Hill House Comics imprint from DC. It's kind of like an imprint with an imprint. It's part of DC's Black Label, but the family of books is called the Hill House Comics. This is Basket Full of Heads. This is the first issue. Now, I did read a review on this where somebody was saying that you would think that with a book called Basket Full of Heads that there would be decapitated heads in a basket. But the thing with this book that you need to understand is it doesn't jump straight into the action. It's a slow burn. It's sort of like a book that came out a while ago called Cold Spots. It was a slow burn book. And sometimes with horror, especially when you're trying to establish a what do you want to call it? Not a scene, but atmosphere. If you're trying to establish a good atmosphere, something that will actually carry the story forward, you need to have a slow burn. You need to stay away from the cheap scares, the jump scares, and just getting right into the action and the blood and gore and stuff. So this issue here, there's not a whole lot of action in it. You're setting up the characters, and you're introducing this world that this book takes place in. So I do recommend it. I really enjoyed it. I figured I was going to grab just the first issue. I think I'm going to grab the first couple of issues and see what it is. I actually think it's a miniseries, like a 6-issue miniseries. But just because it's just a miniseries doesn't mean I'm going to stick with it. But as long as it keeps my attention and it maintains the speed of storytelling that it has here, I'll stick with it. I figure why not? It was a really good read, and I'm going to check out the other Hill House books as well. We also got Marvel Zombies Resurrection. I think they changed the title for that. It doesn't seem like that was the original title for it. But Marvel Zombies Resurrection, it's another reality where the zombie infection shows up. This one is the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. They find that Galactus is on the outskirts of their universe, and he was moving towards Earth, but then he stops. So they go to investigate, and they find the corpse of Galactus. And as they start to investigate, they realize that he's been dead for some time, actually, and something has kind of hollowed him out and is using his body as a space vessel. Very gross. And it actually goes downhill fast from there. So you've got, this isn't connected to the original Marvel Zombie series at all. This is a completely different reality, a completely different set of characters. I'm assuming there's going to be a different reason for the zombie virus to start in this version of the Marvel Universe. But what's really strange with this one is, and if anybody has any information on it, please let me know. But this one it's a one-shot. I looked at the indicia, and it does say it's a one-shot, but at the end of it, there's a to be continued tag on it. So I'm hoping that they continue it, because I really want to see where this goes. This is a really good read. If you're really into the Marvel Zombie stuff, definitely check that out. It was a lot of fun, as was the final issue of Contagion, number 5 of 5. It was kind of a quick wrap up, which Marvel has a tendency to do with their events. But this was actually more satisfying than a lot of events. So you know that there's this hive mind mentality with this virus. The Urchin, who is your patient zero, as he infects everybody else, he kind of absorbs their mind into him, and he's able to control their bodies and that sort of stuff. So there's one character in the Marvel Universe who, if there's anybody who knows about multiple personalities and just having a messed up mind, it's Moon Knight. So he decides the best thing to do is to become infected himself so he can get into the hive mind and sort of free everybody from inside. And once he gets in there, things don't really go as planned. It's very squishy, really gross. I grabbed this variant cover just because I like the regular cover, but there's just something about this one I just fell in love with. So, but Contagion was a really great mini-series. It's only 5 issues. It is done now. They should all be available still at your local comic shop. So if you're looking for something really kind of gross to read, the sort of book that when you're done reading it, you want to get yourself some hand sanitizer and clean off your hands, Contagion is the book. So that wrapped up this week, as did from DC, and kind of keeping in the theme of viruses and zombies and whatnot, Deceased wrapped up this week. And Deceased did not have a happy ending. So Superman became infected with this sort of virus thing. Wonder Woman became infected by it. The human race, basically, they lost their Earth. So they have to move to another Earth, which for some reason they're calling Earth 2. It's kind of a neat little nod to the DC multiverse. But this was another really good series. I grabbed all these face covers, so I was able to get the full set of it. But a really fun read, really just, I don't know, it was just really good. Just a nice to see the DC Universe characters get into a situation where they know they're not going to win, but they're going to try to save as many lives as possible, knowing that they're going to lose not only a lot of regular people, but they're going to lose a lot of their compatriots as well. And so a really good read, really powerful stuff in here, especially the fifth issue had some really powerful moments in it. But another book that I do recommend, the trade is going to be coming out in the next month or two, so I do definitely recommend that one. Also finishing up this week, this is Death's Head. I only grabbed the regular cover. I'm grabbing the variant cover next week, because I grabbed the variant covers for all of it, and I'm going to do what I can to support Death's Head, because this is one of my favorite characters of all time. So this was a really good series. It was a lot of fun. The only thing that bothered me about this series, and this issue in particular, are these young Avengers characters. You got Wiccan and Hulkling, I think it's called. They're a couple. They're gay. We get it. But it seems like throughout this entire run of this book, anytime they were on camera, so to speak, they had to mention that they were a gay couple, one way or another. Either the way they refer to each other. In this one here, they're in bed and they're getting all giddy with each other. It's like, we don't care, okay? We understand they're gay, but when you do stuff like that, let me explain something to new writers that are doing this stuff at Marvel. When you do stuff like that, when you make the character gay first, then you're basically using their sexuality as a gimmick. You're using that sexuality as a gimmick to sell the book, as opposed to what you should be doing, and that's promoting the character. Who is the character? What are their power? What is their backstory? Why should I care about these characters? There is nothing in this book, in this entire 4-issue miniseries, that gave me any reason to like these characters at all. The only thing I have learned about them is they were former Avengers. This one's magic. This one's a shapeshifter, and they're gay. But gay was the first and foremost thing, and it was very annoying. And then you also get, there's a moment in there where Hulkling changes his form to look like Death's Head, and this other robot here, this is Death's Head version 5. They call him V. But he sees Hulkling disguised as Death's Head, and he says, you know, you're kind of cute. So now apparently the robot's gay too. So this is one of the things about Marvel Comics that's really kind of getting, and I'm sorry for getting on a soapbox here in the middle of this whole thing, but I need to say it. I don't care if a character is gay. I really don't. North Star was gay. One of my favorite Chaos characters, Purgatory, was gay. But the thing was with those characters and the other gay characters that I've inadvertently wound up following is gay wasn't their primary reason for existing. It's like these characters, the only reason why they were created was because, well, they're gay. And that's not right. That's taking people who are gay and it's making them into sales gimmicks. They're people. If you want them to be realistic, then write them realistic. Gay people aren't always all over each other. They're not always looking at other guys or other girls, as the case may be, and drooling all over them. Okay, they're not your average gay individual in the real world that does not allow themselves to be defined by their sexuality. Their sexuality is who they are, but that doesn't define who they are. I hope that makes sense. But I'm going to get off my soapbox right now because it's getting into some very heavy territory. And but anyway, be that as it may, all that nonsense aside, okay, all that personal opinion. I'm not opposed to gay characters, but I want my comics to be comics, okay. But what's her name? Tini Howard, the writer of this book. She knows Death's Head, and I would love it if she would do another miniseries. I know she's doing Excalibur, and I may actually end up picking up the first issue of Excalibur because I like her writing style. In Excalibur, if I remember right, that takes place in Britain. Death's Head, by and large, is a British character, so maybe he'll show up in there. Regardless, great series. If you're a Death's Head fan, I do recommend checking it out. Set aside anything that I said because the character himself, he was very well written, and that's what matters in that miniseries. So I also grabbed from last week. I didn't have the money for it, but I was able to grab it this week. Middle West number 12, and this book still continues to be amazing. This is still not really a top of the stack book, but definitely near the top of the stack. This one here, you've got Abel, the boy who is now captured, and he's basically being thrust into child slavery, and he's trying his hardest to keep his anger in check, because every time he loses his temper, bad things happen, and he's trying to keep it under control. Also, for your B story, you've got his dad looking for him, and his dad is actually showing some concern for his safety, which I'm not sure if that's legitimate, or if he's just trying to get people to help him so he can find his son, because he was quite mean to Abel, and I really didn't care for that part. But I understand, I mean, it's part of character development. You need to have that to create the mythos of the book. But this is a really good read. If you're looking for something that's really different, and it's sort of like a lighter version of Lord of the Rings, a little bit of Never-Ending Story, this is definitely a book to check out. We're on issue 12. There are trade. I think the first 6 issues may be available in trade. If not, they got to be coming out soon. But this is the book that definitely needs more readers. This is the book that more people need to enjoy. This is a lot of fun. It's a really interesting book. Great characters. They're building a wonderful mythology for it, and I'm really enjoying it. So, moving on, I got a few more books to do. I've got Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 44. I am going to be getting the foil variant for this because I've gotten all the foil variants for the whole Necessary Evil storyline, but I was a little tight on money, so I wanted to get the story. This is the first appearance of the Omega Zords and the Omega Rangers on Earth. Let's just say this book, it continues to go into new and uncharted territory. And this one here, you finally have one of the Rangers deciding enough is enough with Lord Zed, face him head on, and where this issue ends is one of the best cliffhanger endings that we've had in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series in a long time. And I want issue 45, and I want it like soon. I want to see this fight between this specific Ranger and Zed, because if this issue is any indication of the kind of action we're going to have this series, that fight is going to be off the scale. And finally this week I grabbed, just out of curiosity, and also because I like the cover, I'm a big Simon Bisley fan, Bloodshot #2. This series is actually a lot more fun than I thought it would be. I figured I'd grab the first issue and just kind of be a one and done. I read the first issue, figured I'll check out the next issue, bonus for the cover, but I'm going to stick with it for a couple of issues and maybe check out some of the other Valiant books. I've never really been a Valiant reader. I'm familiar with them. I'm familiar with their characters, but I've never actually read their books. This may be the 5th Valiant book. I've got probably close to 9,000 books in my collection, and 5 of them are Valiant books. I have some Free Comic Book Day Valiant books, but I've never really read them. I just picked them up because it seems like Valiant is a line of books that they started up, it fizzles out, then they restart it again, and then it fizzles out and it restarts it again. So hopefully now that they've got movies coming out, and that will hopefully bring more attention to the line, books like Bloodshot will actually last this time. I know his first run lasted for quite a while, and I'd like to see this one last a while as well. So after reading this issue, I'm going to check out the next one. I'll stick with it for a little bit, see where it goes. So those are all the books that I picked up this week. So we're going to go ahead and put them up on the wall. Sorry, this one was kind of long. I do apologize for my little rant there. I know I like doing these reviews, and I try to make them for everybody to enjoy. But there are times where just things need to be said, and I'm not saying them to be hateful or hurtful. I'm just voicing my opinion and just saying, this is what I think. This is what I like about my comic books. This is what I want comic books to be. I want them to be escapist entertainment. They're supposed to be for everybody, not just these books are for this person and these books are for these people. Comic books are supposed to be for everybody. We're all supposed to be able to enjoy them. We're all supposed to be able to have a good time with them. And we're kind of moving away from that, and I want that to come back. Because the only way we're going to get more readers into comic books is if everybody's enjoying them like we used to. Good or bad, I mean, the 90s were an era where comic books, they had books for everybody. So anyway, that aside, I'm going to go ahead and pause this for a second, and I'm going to go ahead and put my books up on the wall. I'm going to take a look at it. All right, there we go. There's my wall. Actually looks really nice this week. It's got a nice mixture of stuff on there. Some first issues, some final issues, some reprints, ongoing books. We got Marvel, got DC, we got Image, and we've got Valiant up there. So a nice mixture of stuff this week. So thanks for watching. Again, I really did not mean any offense with my little soapbox moment there. I will try to keep that under control in future videos. So again, I do apologize for that. But that aside, as I always like to say, when you go down to your local comic book shop, check out something new. There should be some stores actually that have some Halloween Comic Fest books still available that they may give away for free or even sell off for real cheap. So it's a good way to check out something new, something different. There's some jam books that always get released, but check out like I said, this week I definitely would recommend Basket Full of Heads. That was a really good read. I really enjoyed that a lot more than I thought I would. And Donny Cates' Venom, I wasn't a fan of his Absolute Carnage, but you know what? The man does write a really good Venom book, and he also does a really good, Guardians of the Galaxy. So, we may not be, he may have blocked me on Twitter, but I give the man props. He writes these characters really well. So, good on. If I know you're never gonna watch this, Cates, but these books are great, and you might have actually, with this issue of Venom, might have gotten a new reader on Venom. I may check out the next issue. For your What If and your Elseworlds needs, definitely check out these Tales from the Dark Multiverse books. They're a lot of fun. They're all prestige format, one-shots, one-and-done stories, taking a dark look at some stories that we are all familiar with throughout the years. And this one here, this Death of Superman one, is by and large the best one they've done so far. Out of 2, this is the best one. So definitely check it out. So anyway, thanks for watching. Go ahead and please like the video, subscribe to my channel. Feel free to comment and share the video, and we will see you later. Peace.